The latest sci-fi adventure blockbuster, Star Trek, Section 31 has officially launched. At 63, Michelle Yeoh plays the role of the Empress. She delivers thrilling hand-to-hand combat scenes. Get ready for an interstellar adventure you won't want to miss. In the crumbling human empire, a family goes about their duties. They are silently carrying out their daily tasks. The young son notices a figure appearing on a hillside. He excitedly shouts, "Philippa is back!" Everyone quickly puts down their work to welcome their eldest daughter, who has been away for 2 years. The Empire had previously taken 18 civilians to Earth for a competition. In the end, only one person can survive. The winner will become the new emperor of the Earth Empire. Philippa fought alongside a man named Mighty until the end. The term friend was banned during the competition, but the two silently supported each other. Now, only one final task remains. Whoever completes it first will rule the Empire. The other will be enslaved for life under the new emperor. The family, upon hearing this, became curious. What is your final task? As soon as the words were spoken, they began to cough uncontrollably. Originally, the final task was to sever ties with their old life. The emperor must be loyal to their duty throughout their life. Only then can the empire remain strong. Philippa poisoned all her family members. However, Mighty couldn't bring himself to do it. Thus, Philippa ultimately won the competition and donned the emperor's robes. She became the ruler of the human empire. Philippa personally marked Mighty with the brand of a slave. After Philippa ascended to the throne, she became increasingly ruthless. Her violent iron-fisted rule was appalling. Until the year 2257, Philippa was accidentally brought into a parallel universe and joined Section 31, the secret police organization from Star Trek. However, within a few years, Philippa suddenly lost contact. Recently, someone discovered that she was using a false identity on the border territory outside of Federation space. The Starfleet is tracking her movements in the black market because Federation treaties prohibit them from crossing that border. So they can only send a Section 31 team to infiltrate and contact Philippa to help identify and eliminate this threat. In the far reaches of Federation space, Philippa is the owner of a Bar Alam club. One day, a man named Alok Sahar wanted to do business with Philippa. He had nearly 20 kilograms of the legendary extinct sweet thistle flower, which could fetch a considerable price. Philippa tested the goods and found them to be genuine, but she wasn't someone to be easily fooled. Philippa had already figured out that Alok was a Section 31 agent and had brought several henchmen with him. She exposed the agent's disguise. Anthony, next to the bar, was a shapeshifter. He was trying to seduce a Delta person. The guy in high-tech gear was simple-minded but physically strong. The laughing Vulcan below the stage was also an agent. Finally, the short-haired woman with a serious expression was clearly Lieutenant Garrett from Starfleet. Alok said, "I am authorized to arrest you and erase your memories." But Alok didn't actually want to do that. He knew that someone as ambitious as Philippa wouldn't want to be trapped in this bar, so he offered her a chance to join the team and participate in galaxy-level operations. Philippa was successfully persuaded by Alok. She followed him to meet several agents. The Delta person with seductive skills was named Miley. The simple-minded one was called Days. And there was the shapeshifter Anthony mentioned earlier. The short-haired woman was Lieutenant Garrett, and the Vulcan who was always smiling. Strictly speaking, the Vulcan was just a machine. Its true operator was a nanite named Fuzz. Alok emphasized particularly that only Garrett was a temporary addition to Section 31. She represented Starfleet to ensure everyone followed the rules. The target of this mission was named Data Noi. He had previously operated a pathology lab in the What colony. Later, he fled from justice and began designing biological weapons on demand. Noi was on his way to Bar Alam, preparing to sell his latest works to the Minus High Council. If the weapon fell into Minus's hands, it would pose a threat to the Federation. The Section 31 team had originally devised a perfect plan. First, Alok would flirt with Philippa and knock her out when she was off guard. Then Anthony would transform into Philippa to entertain Noi, who would come to trade with weapons. Fuzz would then fly out of the Vulcan's mouth and drill into the modification device in Noi's head. As long as he made slight alterations to the wiring inside, he could control Noi's actions. At that time, Days would assist Alok in subduing him and successfully seizing the weapon. The group didn't expect that the first part of the plan would be exposed by Philippa. Fortunately, she was willing to help, saving them a lot of trouble. The plan could still proceed. However, Philippa suggested that she had a simpler solution. Once Noi appeared, Philippa would personally lead him to the suite as the club owner. Then she tossed a phase chamber onto Noi's suitcase. It should be known that everything in the universe has specific wavelength vibrations. The phase chamber would alter the wavelengths of the objects it contacts, making Philippa's phase aligned with the suitcase, and since Noi was in a different phase, he couldn't touch the suitcase, and any bullets fired would have difficulty harming Philippa. They easily captured Noi and obtained the suitcase. However, the walls of the suite suddenly showed energy fluctuations, then a figure in black burst through. He also had a phase chamber at his waist. The moment Philippa realized the danger, the man in black struck first. The two quickly became embroiled in a fierce fight. Philippa was a former ruler, who rose to power on a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. She certainly wouldn't be easily subdued by the man in black. However, continuing the fight would benefit neither of them. The man in black picked up the suitcase and prepared to escape. Philippa immediately pursued him through the wall. Without a phase chamber, Alok had to let Days break through the suite's wall. This nearly scared the alien couple next door to death. Meanwhile, Philippa had already caught up with the man in black. She kicked him away and picked up the suitcase from the ground. Then she removed the phase chamber. This way, the man in black could no longer touch Philippa. However, he wasn't a fool either. If you can remove the phase chamber, then I can do the same. The two fought desperately over the suitcase. After exchanging several blows, they both fell into the hall. The round suitcase rolled to the feet of a bystander. Days crashed in from the other side. Alok urged Miley to act quickly. She deliberately approached the black-clothed man, in a sexy and seductive posture, then kicked him and picked up a nearby beer bottle, smashing it over. But Miley was no match for him. She was quickly hit in a vital spot by the man in black. She disintegrated on the spot. It seemed that in critical moments, they still had to rely on Philippa. The singing waitress quickly fled with her microphone. Taking advantage of the chaos, Philippa opened the phase chamber and kicked the suitcase away. She focused on dealing with the troublesome man in black. The two fought fiercely on the stage. The surrounding audience was excited by the spectacle. After all, the two were using phase chambers, so no matter how fiercely they fought, they couldn't harm each other. After a short while, Philippa finally managed to knock down the man in black, but that guy grabbed the suitcase and tried to run away. Philippa chased after and tackled the man. The man in black had to kick the suitcase away. It surprisingly penetrated the wall and rolled to the other side. Philippa quickly broke free and rushed to grab the suitcase. However, at a critical moment, her foot got caught. The man in black approached her. He opened the suitcase right in front of Philippa. Inside was a uniquely designed sphere. Philippa displayed a look of shock.
That's impossible. I had to destroy him. No!
The man in black left with his weapon. Alok noticed Philippa's reaction and asked if she recognized that object. Philippa's thoughts drifted back many years. At that time, she was a revered empress, ruling over the entire Earth Empire. Mighty as the Eternal had become her slave. Philippa had once ordered artisans to create a peculiar weapon. Everyone had committed suicide after its completion, and this weapon was what's in the suitcase. Its power was enough to destroy an entire planet. Even Mighty feared the crazed Philippa, and took poison along with the artisans.
Was to live in your world, Emperor. You are...
Philippa's memories came to an end. She woke up from her stupor, and found herself bound by Alok in a safe house. Alok didn't subject Philippa to harsh interrogation, because for someone as ruthless as her, torture was completely useless. Alok hoped Philippa would voluntarily reveal what the weapon was. However, Philippa suggested they make an exchange instead. This weapon could put billions of lives at risk. With just the few of you, there's no way you can save the day, so you need my help. Since we are to be partners, we must be honest with each other. You tell your story, and I will naturally share mine. Alok had to confess. I was born on Earth in the 20th century. I was born on Earth in the 20th century, and am now about 350 years old, but I have been sleeping for most of the time, so my face and body have not aged. During the eugenics wars, enhanced humans took my home planet. All of Alok's comrades he knew either got shot or were hacked to death. In the end, he was the only one left. Ironically, Giri, the cyborg who killed the Alok family, actually chose to adopt him. Under Giri's guidance, Alok grew increasingly powerful, and was remade into a cyborg soldier in the army. Alok did many terrible things alongside Giri. It could be said that he joined Section 31, to cleanse himself of his sins. After listening, Philippa fulfilled her promise. She confessed that the weapon was ordered by her. Back then, the stars were very unstable. There were always plots of rebellion and attempts at coups, so she created a weapon to eliminate all threats. Philippa referred to it as Heaven's Gift. Heaven's Gift would trigger a chain reaction, spreading between planets like a virus. Wherever it passed, it would turn to ashes. The entire quadrant would be annihilated. Heaven's Gift shouldn't exist in the universe where the club is located. That Noi likely came from the Empire League. Philippa planned to have a talk with him to see if she could extract any useful information. However, this Noi was quite cunning. He refused to reveal the truth. Philippa and Alok each landed a punch on him, warning Noi not to play tricks anymore. Noi initially wanted to be defiant, but Philippa walked over and whispered a few words. Noi immediately confessed. He was an administrative officer at the Imperial Weapons Facility. Heaven's Gift had originally been stored there. Most people thought this thing was just a legend, so Noi wanted to secretly sell Heaven's Gift and use the money to find a quiet place to live. Alok was about to ask, "How did you manage to enter our universe?" Noi explained that ion storms occasionally occurred here, and when they gathered in a pattern, they would tear open a passage at the edge of the Empire. Everyone referred to it as the anomaly. This passage could connect two universes. Very few people were aware of this. Now, the Empire League had exhausted its resources and was plagued by devastating famine. The entire ecosystem was collapsing. They urgently needed to find new territories to plunder. So once the Empire League discovered that Heaven's Gift is missing, they will find that suspicious passage. They will incinerate everything in the parallel universe and enslave all survivors. This is the Empire League's usual style. Alok pinched Noi's nostrils and asked who the man in black was that stole the weapon. Noi protested that he didn't know. Out of nowhere, two groups appeared to seize Heaven's Gift. He hadn't even seen the buyer's face. Suddenly, a cannon fired, knocking the three of them down. The ship also suffered damage and began to descend. Poor Noi was engulfed in flames. However, the others were unscathed. Is this the legendary protagonist's halo? Philippa believed that such a sudden attack indicated there was a traitor among them. The group began to point fingers at each other in suspicion. After arguing for a long time, there was still no conclusion. Garrett changed the subject and said that while you were interrogating Noi, I discovered an old transport ship over there. It might still be operational if we fix it up. We could use it to chase after the people who stole Heaven's Gift. Besides that, there's an array of antennas here. They have been outdated for 12 years. I don't know if they can still be operational. Alok wanted to inform Section 31 about the situation first. The group immediately went to check and discovered that the traitor had also sabotaged the antennas. Philippa decided to split into two groups. One group would stay to repair the antenna array, and the other would head into the woods to fix the transport ship. Anthony and Fuzz followed Philippa to inspect the transport ship. Daze and Garrett stayed behind to repair the antennas with Alok. Without further ado, everyone sprang into action. Philippa's team quickly found the transport ship. The internal condition was relatively good. The visible components were all functional. Anthony couldn't help but ask Philippa, when you created Heaven's Gift, did you not consider the huge risks it posed? Philippa replied that she had ordered its destruction back then, and was unaware that it had been hidden away. She then shifted the topic, and said the progressive line coil on the transport ship was missing. Someone must have dismantled it for terbium. There might still be supplies left in the cargo hold. Anthony stopped Philippa, saying, Captain, there's an order. No one is allowed to act alone. Philippa had to take the two of them to the cargo hold. Meanwhile, Garrett was checking the wiring. Although the broken wires looked alarming, the equipment had a backup system and could be repaired easily. The problem was that a crucial interface part had been torn off. That piece was likely in the traitor's hands. Garrett was halfway through discussing this with Alok when he suddenly realized that Daze was missing. The two quickly grabbed their weapons and began searching for him. With your level of sensitivity, you're supposed to be interstellar agents? You wouldn't be afraid of being laughed at if that got out. Before they could find Daze, the antenna array was unexpectedly activated. Fortunately, Philippa and her two teammates returned shortly after. They checked around together and believed that Daze must have reinstalled the interface. After using the antenna array, he must have damaged it again. Daze had come to this planet with them to sabotage this operation. He may have already sent the coordinates to the reinforcements. The urgent task is to find Daze first. Everyone immediately entered the woods to search. Fortunately, Daze's exoskeleton was leaking, leaving a trail of traces behind. Philippa followed the trail and found Daze's body behind a large rock. His mechanical eye was severely damaged, but it might still retain some images from his life. Alok suggested connecting the trirecorder to Daze's exoskeleton to see if any residual data could be found before they could act. Philippa found a long black hair on Daze's body. The others quickly apprehended Garrett and found traces of Daze's blood under her nails after testing. They tied Garrett to a chair for questioning, but she denied being the murderer. Philippa, lacking patience, drew her dagger to give Garrett a proper welcome. Alok quickly stopped Philippa At the same time, the trirecorder extracted an image. From the footage, it appeared that Days had killed himself. This made no sense at all. Why would he do that? Unlike the panicked agents, Philippa carefully observed everyone's expressions. She suddenly recalled a detail. Fuzz had mentioned that he could infiltrate any machinery to modify its internal structure. Moreover, that Vulcan machine had an autopilot mode. Now everything makes sense. Fuzz must have set the Vulcan machine to autopilot. Then he infiltrated Days' exoskeleton, controlling him to take the antenna apart. While the others were out searching for Days, Fuzz manipulated him back to the antenna array, inserted the part, and sent signals to the enemy, then destroyed the evidence, killed Days, and framed Garrett with the evidence. This little octopus have such a ruthless heart. Fuzz pretended to surrender and explained, then used Days' corpse to launch a surprise attack. He opened the hatch and made his escape. Alok and the others quickly pursued him.
Happened to no crew member left behind.
The two groups were engaged in a fierce gunfight. Alok accelerated and charged straight in. The group jumped onto Fuzz's ship to collectively deal with the unconscious Days. This guy was already dead, completely unafraid of pain and not dodging at all. He was fighting purely on instinct. The video effect of this fight scene is black and blurry. Several characters were dressed in pitch black, and during the action, Alok nearly fell to his death. Thankfully, Anthony transformed in time into a giant net to catch Alok. Philippa seized the opportunity to shake off Days, and ascended into the sky with Fuzz. The two grappled on the deck. Fuzz forcefully threw Philippa away. Just when he thought he had the upper hand, Philippa suddenly climbed back up, and attacked from behind, stabbing his spinal cord with a knife. Philippa pressed Fuzz, demanding to know who he was collaborating with. Where are they now?
He played you, Emperor. Sans alive.
It turned out that for those years, Mighty had been gradually consuming the same poison. He slowly built up an immunity, so his eventual suicide by poison was just a ruse. He would soon come to confront Philippa, to settle everything from those years. After Fuzz finished speaking, he vanished on the spot. He instantly teleported to Mighty's warship, the Supreme Heaven's Gift. It was placed in the most conspicuous spot on the ship. Meanwhile, a large screen in front was counting down. Once the passage opened, Mighty would notify the Empire to detonate this bomb capable of destroying everything. The main characters had to prevent all of this, but now the antennas were destroyed, and they couldn't send any signals to the outside world. Without the progressive line coil, it would be difficult to start the transport ship. As everyone was at a loss, Alok suddenly pulled out a progressive line coil, because he had been uncertain about who the traitor was before. He hadn't revealed this information. Now, with the progressive line coil, they could start the transport ship, and had a chance to catch up with Mighty. The four of them took their positions to wake the transport ship up, setting off towards the Crescent Nebula. Everyone knew that this confrontation was destined to be perilous. After all, Mighty's ship would definitely have proton cannons, torpedoes, and other weapons, but they only had a dilapidated ship. The most advanced equipment on board was the tractor beam. This ship had a garbage collection function that used the tractor beam to pick up debris. It would fill the beam, and then dump the garbage into the nebula, allowing radiation to break it down. Philippa thought that having something was better than nothing, so she directed all the ship's energy into the tractor beam. Mighty soon detected someone approaching. He launched torpedoes. Alok and the others didn't dodge at all, bracing themselves with their shields. Then they used the tractor beam to grab Mighty's warship, and dragged it into the radiation-filled nebula. The radiation severely interfered with the ship's performance, and the readings were approaching critical levels. The shields of both ships were gradually failing. Plasma was about to hit them. Anthony had to remind his teammates, if we take a hit like that, we're done for. Garrett, coming from the Starfleet, whether she could dodge this attack depended on her and Anthony. At the same time, the shield of Mighty's ship completely collapsed. Philippa and Alok took the opportunity to infiltrate. She immediately spotted Heaven's Gift in Mighty. The person she had longed for was right in front of her. Philippa never expected that their reunion would be under such circumstances. Just then, Fuzz emerged from behind, stabbing the unguarded Alok. Mighty shouted and lunged at Philippa. During the commotion, Heaven's Gift fell to the ground, and accidentally triggered the detonation program. But no one paid attention to this deadly bomb.
Guess who survives very large explosions? Very small.
Fuzz quickly left the Vulcan robot, intending to cut off control of the transport ship. Garrett and the others detected a faint signal approaching. The tractor beam soon failed under Fuzz's interference. Garrett told Anthony to stay close to Mighty's ship. After saying that, she headed alone to the garbage hold to see if there was anything useful left. Garrett quickly found a toy, produced by Drum Technology. Such products were strictly prohibited from entering the Federation, because they used trillium minerals as energy sources. With a little modification, it could be turned into a bomb. Meanwhile, Heaven's Gift was ready for the second phase. Once the several white spheres all turned red, everyone would be doomed. But Mighty was still fully focused on dealing with Philippa. Their final battle had been delayed for too long. Long ago, when they were selected for the competition on Earth, one of them should have died. Just as the battle heated up, Garrett, ready, returned to the cockpit, and instructed Anthony to find a way to get ahead of Mighty's ship. This way, they could open the garbage hold and dump the bomb right in their faces. The problem was that Anthony didn't recognize the symbols on the control panel. With one wrong move, he could trigger the self-destruct sequence. Fortunately, he successfully opened the cargo hold, and the bomb dropped right in front of Mighty's ship as planned. It also conveniently blew up Fuzz, who was about to return. Philippa and the others both fell to the ground from the impact. Mighty got up and picked up the sword. He prepared to stab Philippa in the head. However, he was still outmatched. The blade, knocked away by Philippa, slashed his neck. This duel finally had its last answer. Philippa, ruthless and brutal, was the strongest empress, but all of this was never what she truly desired. As the passageway opened, Heaven's Gift would explode in 60 seconds. Philippa and Alok were ready to perish with the ship, but in a critical moment, Anthony's inner power erupted and instantly transported them back to the garbage ship. After a dazzling white light, the four of them had survived safely. At the end of the story, Philippa returned to the club and became friends with Team 31. More perilous missions awaited them in the future. The film concluded here. The overall story was passable. Although Michelle Yeoh is over 60 years old, she still performs impressively and is full of energy. However, the overall quality of the film was too poor. It was almost no different from a low-budget online movie. No wonder this film wasn't heavily promoted. It feels like Michelle Yeoh deserves a better script. Rather than spending effort on this spin-off, it would be better to shoot Star Trek 4 first. In summary, the highlight of this film is entirely Michelle Yeoh.